Hello, welcome back to my garden. I'm getting tired of saying that. I think the garden needs a name. I've been teasing that idea for a while. I've also been thinking of what I would call the garden, and I have a name in mind. But that's not why we're here today. Today, we are going to be planting up some Dutch irises. I stumbled across Dutch irises a few years back when I first moved down here, flipping through some sort of catalog, Brex, or some online website, whatever it was, but I saw these things called Dutch irises, and the flowers looked really pretty, and they really are. And if I can find one from earlier this year, a picture from earlier this year, I'll post it up here. So my wife, she said, why don't you get a bunch more? So I got a bunch more. So I'm going to be planting up, I think I have four different bags or 4 different varieties today. And I'm going to be planting up here in the flower garden. And hopefully we'll be able to see them from inside the house, from the living room, in the early spring when they do start coming up. Now, I don't know exactly where Dutch irises come from, and I should have done my homework before I started making this video, but if I remember, I will post it up on the screen here. The average height of a Dutch iris is about 2 foot. Some of them get a little smaller at like 22 inches, some of them a little taller maybe. But it seems like the majority of my Dutch irises are about 2 foot. I'm just gonna reach down and grab one. And I'm gonna drop it right over here behind this red skin dahlia and this dark opal basil. Anywho, start dropping these in the ground. Now, this space here is new this year, and it's been a mix of success and failure. I'm not sure if that mum is in shot, but there was an anthill growing up through there, and these red skin dahlias have been through the wars. These verbenas have survived pretty well. So I'm just gonna clear back some of this mulch. So they say to plant them 5 inches deep, and I've stated in other videos that the general rule of thumb is twice the depth of the bulb. So if your bulb is 2 inches, you're gonna plant it 4. If your bulb is 3 inches, you're gonna plant it 6. The bag here says 5 inches deep. I will put the tag in once I get done messing around with all the mulch. I'm not gonna plant them 5 inches deep. My ground here does not freeze, but I'll plant them at least 3 inches deep because, as I mentioned a second ago, they do get quite tall. And the deeper you plant a bulb, the better support it's going to have. At least that's been kind of my experience. I'm dropping the last of the bulbs here. And the tag, I'm just gonna put in the ground just to remind me what I had planted here. So if they don't come up, I'll have known this is where I planted my Excelsior Dutch iris that failed to grow. But hopefully they do come up in the spring and put on a nice show. All right, so the next batch we're gonna do right in here because it's probably not all that visible. But as a bit of an experiment, and also because I've done this before, I planted right here. It's probably very hard to see. Carrot, yes, the kind that you eat. I just dropped some seeds in here. So hopefully next year they come up and they do their whole beautiful white flower head thing, and they look absolutely wonderful. But in between these two mums, I think is a good place to put some of these Dutch iris. Now, this variety is called Blue Diamond. And I will drop the tag over there. And there are supposed to be 12 in here. Drop the whole bulb right along here, why not? And you know what, we're gonna go all the way up to the pot, and we're just gonna push all that dirt and mulch back. So again, hopefully next spring we'll have a bunch of Blue Diamond coming up all around these mums. Off to the next one. I think right in here, behind the Denver Daisy Rebecca, in this space here, next to my Rosemint Agastache, I'm gonna plant the Red Ember. Some of you may know where we are in the flower garden, and recently I just planted a whole bunch of peonies over here. One of you left a couple of great comments, and I can't remember who your name is, but you know who you are if you're still watching. And this space does get part shade, but during the summertime it gets very little part shade. It gets mostly sun, like 90% sun, 10% shade. So I think the peonies will be over here. And I think, or I hope, that that shade that is provided at various times of day will be beneficial to the peonies so they don't completely roast in under our hot blazing sun. Enough of that. We're planting Dutch iris today, not talking about peonies. So we're just gonna clear back. Where I'm sitting right now, or kneeling, eventually will be a hedge. And hopefully, I hope, upon hope, it will be a Yupon hedge. And Yupon is native to the southeastern United States. The nice thing about the native Yupon is that it grows to like, I don't know, 7, 10 feet, something like that. so I don't have to purchase as many. I can space them basically every 7 feet apart or every 8 feet apart roughly. So I don't need that many plants next spring. And hopefully in another 5 to 10 years, there'll be this wonderful hedge where I'm sitting. Maybe, possibly. Some of these bulbs do feel soft, which is not a good sign. I'm actually gonna throw a little compost on here just for giggles, and then pull back all that soil, all that compost and mulch that I had down here originally. Even if a few come up, I can collect the seeds for propagation. And I think that these bulbs will, like many bulbs, self-propagate. So let's say 3 comes up next year, then hopefully, maybe, possibly, the following year, 6, 12, 18, 24, hut, hut, hike. You guys get the point. Let's go plant the last batch, which is a mixed bag. Okay, so hopefully my head is not being chopped off at the moment. And right here in front of me, I have an orange zinnia, which was nibbled on by the deer early in the season. It did not look well, but now in the autumn, it's flowering and the deer have skipped over it. All in here, I think I can plant up a bunch of these Dutch irises, and we'll easily be able to see them from the house. They will be a mixed bag color. I'm just gonna start making holes and dropping in a bunch of these Dutch iris. Now I've got 30 of these, so I'm just going to drop a few into each hole. Cover that up. And this was good, so I'm just going to cover that up, And I'll get a few in that hole. All right, so I think in this space here, we're going to finish off the rest. We're just a little further down where I started planting. And right here in front of me, I have peony. I don't know which variety, but over here, again, hopefully it comes up in the spring, is the foxtail lily. In the meantime, I'm going to plant up the rest of these Dutch iris. All right, now to cover all this back up. So I just had a few neighbors stop by and I gained another new subscriber out of that. So thank you to that new subscriber. So now I've got 4 new varieties of Dutch iris planted in the garden. Varieties I've never planted before. I don't think so. Hopefully I don't have any duplicates. Doesn't really matter because they're beautiful flowers. And we're on day 24, 25 of the 30-day Blitz challenge where I try to do something in the garden every single day. Bring you guys along for that ride. There's still, I don't know, I have alliums and daffodils still to plant out. If you guys want to see me planting out alliums or daffodils, leave a comment below. Otherwise, I'll just do it off camera. But there are a bunch of other projects and jobs that I need to do here around the garden. And the shade cloth will probably be coming off maybe Thursday or Friday this week. Again, I'll bring you guys along when I take off the shade cloth, finish cleaning the glass for the greenhouse, and I start moving stuff actually into the greenhouse because there are cooler temperatures ahead. I might as well start moving stuff into the greenhouse so I don't have to do it all at the last minute. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post up a new video. This way you can follow along with my antics. With all that being said, I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.